Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening to the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all that good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, well, I do share my thoughts with my members every single day the market is open. Definitely check that out. That link is below. For just $3 a month, that's all it is. I'm not trying to make anything crazy expensive. Just, again, $3 a month gives you access to the first tier, all my Tesla updates. $5 a month adds NVIDIA to that, which is, obviously includes all my NVIDIA updates and Tesla updates. Tier 3 for $7 adds everything from the first two tiers, plus, of course, non-Tesla, non-NVIDIA charts that I share with members, with levels and stuff like that as well. Essentially trade opportunities or just general charts. For just $7 a month, and on the weekend, I do chart requests with members. But jumping into it, NVIDIA, again, I am recording this about an hour and a half early. Unfortunately, I have to head out soon. But NVIDIA looks like it'll be closing probably around 173 and change. I'll be surprised if it's anything around. The stock has been moving like a grandpa lately. I'm not going to lie. But nonetheless, a grandpa going to the right direction, but a grandpa nonetheless. So, moving forward, this is what I see on NVIDIA, right? I'll try and make this one nice and quick because I do have to go actually. Assuming it closes around this, 173 and a half, we'll say roughly, which wouldn't surprise me at this point. There's a few things to look out for. Now, I want to start off with the 1 hour chart. Now, the 1 hour chart is just suggesting, it could be setting up, what looks to be like a little bit of a potential bullish flag, bullish pennant, whether you want to look at like this or like this, whatever, right? It is setting up something like that. But the risk to me here is 173. If NVIDIA loses 173, that's going to be potentially bad news for the bulls, at least short term, right? Very short term. So that's something worth watching. Watch for 173. Below that, a little bit of caution is advised. Above that, however, the bulls are trying to hold this sort of breakout above this sort of 173 to 174 region. But again, it all stems on them holding. You can see we got that breakout and then we started, pretty much taking this area that was clearly resistance, now trying to turn it into a support. If the bulls can maintain that, which again, essentially means holding above 173, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up maybe even. And that should unlock a potential higher, closer, in my opinion, to about the high 170s-ish, right? That Fibonacci extension I showed before, closer to 179, 180, something like that. But again, that all stems on pretty much holding 173 to 174. If that breaks, well, that's, going to be bad news short term. This could be a small little false breakout, of course, maybe a small liquidity sweep as well. And at the very least, we retest the 9 exponential moving average sitting at pretty much 170, 171. But again, losing that, and convincingly losing that, especially, several candles in a row, will start opening up a potential move to the opposite side of the spectrum on this rising channel, which again, someone mentioned that the rising channel was down here. That's because you're in a logarithmic chart. I'm in a linear chart. That's where the channels look different, in case you were wondering. I saw some comments about that. You're in a logarithmic, I'm in a linear chart. FYI. Because if I go linear chart, yeah, then okay, makes sense. Then we have the channel, and I can draw it from here, right? And it pretty much looks like it just bounced off of it not too long ago. But I'm in a logarithmic chart. So FYI. Anyways, sorry, I'm in a linear chart, you're in a logarithmic. Whatever. The point is that's kind of what I'll be looking for in the smaller time frames. But the bigger time frames, the biggest worry to me is this, right? And this is what I was telling my members about this morning, sort of. NVIDIA is kind of like musical chairs right now to me, right? The music is still going, everyone's still dancing, and the party's still on. But the party will end at some points, as it usually does. It always does. That's just how things work. It will end at some points. And all I'm trying to say is just make sure you have a chair. That's all I'm going to say, right? Just make sure you have a chair. At some point, the party will end. The stock won't just keep going up like this forever. At some point, it'll end. At some point, it'll have to have a healthy correction. Very nice, to move to the downside. That's just normal. At some point, it's going to happen. It is what it is. That's just how things go. So again, despite, me mentioning short term, like in the 1 hour, that there is bullish potential, you are kind of playing with fire a little bit-ish, in my opinion, because it's pretty elevated. But the stock is elevated. Again, the MACD is the second highest it's ever been in the history of the stock. It's starting to get some curling action. It's not crossing bearish yet, but it's starting to look at lower low in the histograms, despite the stock essentially kind of heading upwards, if you will, still. There are signs like that I'm noticing that are giving me small signs of concern, right? So, just monitor that. But again, this is why we have the shorter time frames, right? So again, as long as it's above 173, there's potential. Absolutely, there's potential for sure, 100%. But below 173, hey, watch out, right? It could be, maybe a little bit painful, a little bit potentially coming up, right? We could get a small correction, whatever. Just worth mentioning. But again, as long as 173 holds, hey, the bulls still have a shot. They still have a shot to to still destroy the bears, if there are any bears even left, honestly, at this point. So we're going to continue monitoring that moving forward and see how that actually goes. But again, to the downside, like I said, if we lose the 9 EMA, especially and we really start getting candle closures below it, especially sequential ones, 21 EMA closing around mid 160s, but mid 160s will drop us well below that, in my opinion. If we start losing mid 160s, at the very least, we'll get a retest of 160, which is the bottom of the channel. But that will open up a potential scarier possibility because, again, if we lose 173, not only is that bad for obvious reasons, but it also argues the fact that this was a liquidity sweep on the 1 hour or the daily, 4 hour, whatever, right? It does make an argument this was a liquidity sweep, which is bad. And we still have this double top potential, and until bulls really make it go higher to high end of the 170s, there is still a double top potential that looks something like this, which is also a sign of potential caution. So that's why, to me, the music is still going. The music is still going. Everyone's dancing. The chairs are still vibing. Whatever. Just make sure you have a chair. That's all I'm going to say. Take that for what it's worth. Take it as you will. It's not financial advice. It's just my opinion. But there is a potential of a double top, which gets triggered on pretty much a loss of about 165, which then, in my opinion, would actually cause a more aggressive correction lower. Honestly, at that point, wouldn't even shock me if we go to the 50 EMA, which is going to be sitting in the low 150s at that point, which kind of lines up with my weekly overlook that I mentioned, which is, of course, going to be back to this overall massive area of demand that was a massive area of supply for many, many weeks, months, quarters even. Years even, honestly. So that'll be the level I'll look for on any potential correction that may occur. No actual obvious signs just yet. Keep that in mind. I'm not trying to say it's, oh guys, there's bearish signs everywhere. Watch out, it's going to crash tomorrow. No. But we're at a stage now where I'm starting to look for them, right? I'm starting to look for signs such as, warning signs like that, right? They're not really present just yet. But like I said on the weekly, SMI is showing warning signs. MACD, not yet. So if I start seeing a weekly MACD showing lower highs, okay, now we can start getting a little bit more cautious about it, right? In my opinion, of course, not financial advice. But that's kind of what I'm looking for NVIDIA. So let me know what you think about that down below. Take a quick look at options flow, see if anything noteworthy came in. Pretty slow day for the most part, honestly, not too much flow. Keep in mind, I just want to make it clear, I do have mine sorted to sweeps and splits, and specifically 100K premium or higher. So if I lower to lower premium, for instance, you can see a lot more on NVIDIA naturally, right? If I go like this, you can see a lot more, but a lot of them are small, right? I don't really care about the small premiums. I care more about 100K or higher, right? I want to see what the big dogs are doing. That's what I care about. I don't care what someone with 30K is doing. Irrelevant to me. I want to see what someone with 100K, 500K, 1 million, 5 million. That's who I'm interested in. That who is, those are the players I want to see because those are the big dogs. But unfortunately, we're not seeing anything too crazy today. Nothing really major. The flow is a little bit on the slower end, all things considered. So nothing really worth mentioning. And that's probably the main thing I'll be looking for on NVIDIA moving forward. Again, very, very short term, above 173. The bulls still have a shot. They can definitely go higher. But below 173, and this kind of potential breakout kind of starts to fall apart. And usually when a breakout falls apart or breakdown falls apart, it's not uncommon to get a move in the opposite direction, sometimes pretty quickly as well. So let's watch and let's continue monitoring it. But that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. See you Monday.